Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other, and today's episode is One Piece East Blue Saga Arlong Park Arc, Episode 40, Proud, Tall Warriors, Dramatic Battle of Sanji and Usopp. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happens in the episode. So we start with Sanji having jumped into the water and he is swimming downwards. He sees Genzo helping Luffy, and Karubi also sees Genzo helping Luffy, decides he's going to attack him. So Sanji pulls his braid, which of course sets him off. He then starts to basically dominate the battle in the water against Sanji and takes frequent pauses to brag about how amazing fishmen are, especially in the sea, as opposed to, those puny, pathetic humans who have no shot. Ultimately, he ends up beating up Sanji pretty badly. Sanji then is thrown into the cliff, starts going up for air, is grabbed by Krobi. He then basically forces him down, causing pressure injuries in Sanji. Sanji then basically signals that he wants to go up and do it again. Krobi, thinking he has the advantage, does in fact take him up, but Sanji then blows air into his gills, causing Krobi a great amount of pain, which allows him enough time to get up to the surface. And once they are on the surface again, Sanji then is able to use all of his kicking attacks on Krobi, ultimately defeating him, and let Zoro know that Luffy's pretty okay for now, kind of. Arlong, of course, is angry at the fact that Krobi has been beaten. And then we move on to Usopp, who is still running away, or he was, but we see him laying in a puddle of red, and he thinks about how lucky he is that he came up with the catch-up star for moments like this. Chu thinks that he has defeated Usopp, and so starts to walk away from Usopp. And Usopp then, gets up and is basically rubbing dirt on himself to make it look like, oh, he tried so hard to fight, but unfortunately he wasn't successful, he couldn't win. But then as he's doing that, he starts flashing back to all of his crewmates and how strong their convictions are and willingness to risk their lives are. And then to Kaya and the vegetable trio. And ultimately, he ends up deciding to, after a crisis of conscience, actually try. So he then, you know, um, basically yells for Chu. Chu comes running back. He then tries to face Chu with a hammer, fails, runs away into the trees, tosses a bottle of liquor at Chu, which he then breaks all over Chu. Chu goes into the rice paddy, sucks up all the water, and he does a massive water cannon right next to Usopp, who then gives his position away by looking very shocked at this devastation right next to the tree he's hiding behind, which then allows Chu to know where he is. So then Chu starts squirting a bunch of different water bullets, basically, at Usopp, who's hiding behind a tree, and once again is, giving himself a pep talk. Chu then breaks the tree open. Usopp reminds him that alcohol can ignite, and he uses a fire star to set Chu on fire, who then goes running towards the water at the rice paddies. Usopp realizes he'll be able to put himself out there, so he goes chasing after him with the hammer again. And he then hits him on the head with a hammer, again and again and again, switches to a random rubber band attack every so often before hitting him back again on the head with a hammer again and again and again, ultimately ending up with him being victorious and defeating Chu by hitting him in the head with a hammer so many times. And all of this where nobody can actually see it. And then at the end of the episode, Nami arrives at the scene and basically tells Arlong, who is attacking Sanji and Zoro, that she has come to kill him. So now that we've been reminded about what happens, it's now time to rank the episode, and as always, we'll be ranking on our mostly objective ranking list, followed by the personal ranking list. So on our mostly objective ranking, we have our single arc main character growth, and that is 2 points each for Kurobi, Chu, and Arlong. So Kurobi's new attacks are Fishman Karate Dueling Hair Tether, Fishman Karate Instant Undersea Bowel Buster, Fishman Karate Flaming Axe Kick, Fishman Karate Back Foot Jawbreaker, Special Attack Gaffa Palm Bomb, Pulverizing Pressure Plunge, and then the Ultimate Fist Thousand Brick Punch. Chu's new attacks are the Squirt Cannon and the Squirt Machine Gun. And Arlong's attack is Water Blasting, where he uses water and basically similar to Chu's squirting machine gun, except he doesn't need to spit it out. He just flicks the water and it ends up being impactful like a bullet. So that brings us all the way up to 6 points. Then we have an additional 3 points bringing us to 9, which is for our impactful / memorable moment line, etc. And I love the Usopp hammer scene. Is one of my favorites when he's just going at Chu with his little hammer and then just randomly throwing in a rubber band of doom and then hitting him in the head with a hammer again. It's one of the most amusing, not the most amusing, but one of the most amusing moments in the series for me personally, which is why I decided it was worth an extra 3 points. Then we have a positive 4 points each, so an additional 8 points for Sanji and Usopp's multi-arc main character growth, so their new attacks. Sanji, we have Epaulet, Colette, Cell, Poitrine, Gigot, and Mutton Shot. And then for Usopp, we have his Ketchup Star, Usopp Hammer, Usopp Rubber Band of Doom, and then his special attack Fire Star. All in all, we total 17 points for this episode. I didn't think there were any negatives that applied from our mostly objective values, and therefore it is a 10 out of 10 episode, which is the highest score an episode can get. As a reminder, for episodes that have the same score on our mostly objective ranking list, they then just get ranked in episode order. And so on our mostly objective ranking, we have in first the most wicked man of East Blue, Fishman Pirate Arlong, Luffy Stands Up, End of a Broken Promise. This episode came in third, Proud Tall Warriors, Dramatic Battle of Sanji and Usopp, Usopp's Death, Luffy Yet to Land, Luffy Drowning, Zoro vs. Octopus Hatchan, The Witch of Kokoyashi Village, Arlong's Female Officer, Survive, The Mother Bell Mare and Nami's Family, Luffy in Trouble, Fishman vs. Luffy Pirates, 9th, Reunited, Usopp Tells Nami's True Story, and 10th, The Hidden Past, Female Fighter Bell Mare. So for my personal ranking, obviously, really enjoyed this episode. So I really liked Usopp's end of Usopp's fight. I do think that it was kind of drawn out like with him, faking his death and having to have his crisis of conscience and then realizing a single hammer hit is going to do absolutely nothing to Chu, distracting with the rubber band to go hide behind a tree again, having to have yet another little bit of a pep talk crisis before he then comes out, sets Chu on fire, and does his massive Usopp Hammer barrage, and I did very much enjoy that. Like I said, it's one of the most amusing fights and one of my favorite fight endings, and I just really get a kick out of his attack there. So that automatically was a positive to me. Sanji in the water was kind of fair play. Like, I mean, he had to go and see if he could save Luffy, so he had to go in the water. Kurobi obviously has the advantage there. He was very clever about getting out of the situation once he needed air, by tricking Krobi into getting him near the surface and then blowing into his gills using his knowledge of seafood and fish in order to escape that and get up onto the land. Great job there. So that also, fun fight. Enjoyed it. I didn't like that he had to lose in the water, but obviously he's against a fish man in the ocean. It was kind of inevitable that he would be at a disadvantage, so we're fine with that. I also like the hair pulling moment where he like pulls on Krobi's hair to stop him from attacking Genzo. Thought that was great. Real playground move. Excellent. Arlong basically just sits there and watches it all happen, then he goes and fights, and unfortunately, because Zoro is still suffering from his previous injuries, Sanji got some pretty severe injuries while in the water against Krobi. They're no match for him. And then Nami shows up, and this is where it kind of loses its points for me. She comes there like she's some sort of strong fighter, and she tells Arlong, as like like two of the strongest members of their crew are lying there defeated, that she's going to kill him. And literally in my notes, as I was watching the episode, in my mind, on my notes, I was like, as if. Like, no chance. Sorry. Nami has her skills. Nami has her skill set. She has her talents. Fighting somebody as strong as Arlong is not one of them, so not to say like anything really mean about her, but like no chance. No chance she's killing Arlong. Um well, I mean, she might have a chance, like assassination, come from behind when he can't expect it, but like straight up coming up to him saying, I'm gonna fight you and I'm gonna kill you, no chance. She has no chance. So that was about the only downer at the very end where where it was like, are we expected to think that Nami actually could? I hate to be mean about it, but no chance. As if not happening. Anywho, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because pretty much everything else was great about the episode. I am also, oh, the other thing that lost the 1 point, in addition to Nami's kind of like unrealistic viewpoint, thinking that she stands any sort of chance at all against Arlong, is the fact that I do think they are dragging out Luffy being underwater for several episodes now, so it is kind of getting to the point where I'm like, okay, let's hurry this up. Let's get around to it because we know he's going to get revived. We know he's going to get his fight. Now we've resolved the other fights. Let's see that happen. Basically, I'm getting impatient, which is not necessarily the most positive emotion. So again, I took 1 point off, so 9 out of 10. And that makes our personal ranking so far. Luffy stands up, End of a Broken Promise. This episode I put in second, Proud Tall Warriors, Dramatic Battle of Sanji and Usopp, Luffy Drowning, Zoro vs. Octopus Hatchin, Luffy in Trouble, Fishman vs. Luffy Pirates, The Most Wicked Man of East Blue, Fishman Pirate Arlong, Usopp's Death, Luffy Yet to Land, Reunited, Usopp tells Nami's true story, Survival, The Mother Bell Mare and Nami's family, Ninth, The Witch of Kokoyashi Village, Arlong's female officer, and last place for me is The Hidden Past, female fighter Belmare. Bringing us now to the saga ranking so far. This is where we're going to be ranking each of the arcs within the saga. And on our mostly objective ranking, we currently have Romance Dawn in first place, followed by the Orangetown arc, Baretti arc, Syrup Village arc, and Arlong Park arc so far has 76 out of 150 as its current score. On our personal ranking, the order is in first, Orangetown arc, Romance Dawn arc, Baretti arc, and Syrup Village arc also in last place for me, and Arlong Park arc so far has 77 out of a possible 150. So now we come to our series ranking so far, and this is where we're going to be ranking each of the sagas against each other. And on our mostly objective rankings so far, the East Blue Saga has a score of 25 out of 80, and the personal ranking, East Blue Saga has a 14 out of 80. So with that, we've now rewatched and ranked One Piece East Blue Saga Arlong Park Arc Episode 40, Proud Tall Warriors, Dramatic Battle of Sanji and Usopp. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.